Hello, everybody. I promise I will not be with any of you long, but I wanted to talk about why is it so hard to be honest and have integrity. I want to say this year may have been a challenge for all of us, and I understand that this year came with pain and dysfunction and regret for some of you. And some of you may not have been through anything, but there are some people who have been through hell. And it may sound cliche to some, but there are actually people who are out here suffering to make ends meet, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm going to say a story and a short summary, and I'm going to teach. There were times in my life as a man where I was dishonest, didn't have any integrity. I struggled with anger, I struggled with unforgiveness, and I struggled with being faithful. Um, for the life of me, I realized I came to terms with that it's not always people. Most of the time, it's us. And the reason why people do things that they do is because they're hurting and don't want people to know. And as a result, they hurt others around them and they self sabotage others around them. But they self sabotage themselves. I, I hated the fact that I was hurting. I hated the fact that I couldn't enjoy my relationships and my friendships. And let me say this, even though people hurt me in the past, I hurt them because they hurted me. But the Bible says, bless them that persecute you and curse them not. The back end is, I was afraid of realizing that I was hurt. I was afraid of being a man. Why? Because my biggest regret was not having someone who should have been there to teach me how to be a man, to teach me how to be a real man. I thought being a real man was to be tough, was to be a trick, and was to be hard. But the Bible says an unstable man is unstable in all of his ways. I struggled with commitment. I struggled with not just being committed to myself, but committed to the people who wanted to love me. I struggled with that. And I knew I struggled with it. There was one person who I really loved, and she always challenged me. And she always wanted what was best for me. And I hurt her 3 times by not being faithful. It hurts different when you see a woman cry to you face to face because you couldn't be faithful. You couldn't hold her down. And you couldn't show her that you did. And let me talk to the men, because the reason why there are some black men who are unfaithful is because they may have experienced people in their life that was not faithful to them. But you cannot push away the real people or a woman who wants to love you in a way. What is this? Why is it so hard to be faithful Why it's so hard to not be honest with yourself and have integrity and say to myself, it is hard for me to be committed. How can I be committed to you? The difficult part about it is you will never find a person that will be committed to you. And we live in a generation that most of the times, in my generation, we have distinguished relationship for sex. Yeah, sex is great, but how are you both going to challenge each other or correct each other or push each other to the next destiny? Because there are some people who are just groomed in their own lusts. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest, and not just because I'm a preacher. It's not because I'm a leader. It's not because I'm a Christian. As a man, I've struggled with lust. And lust doesn't have to be sexual. Lust could be something that you always are hungry for. And I think my biggest regret and my challenge was I wish I could have listened to God when He told me to trust Him so I can help you. But when you are stubborn and double minded and stiff necked and rebellious and easily tempered, you don't understand the clue of why God is so hard on you. And it takes a real individual to realize within themselves that I can't do stuff only by myself. This is for both men and women. If both of you are unfaithful, you have to pray about that. Because everyone deserves equality of love. Everybody deserves love. But everybody isn't wanting to be committed. By experience, I knew how I felt when I had my first relationship. And how it damaged me as a man, how it made me have low self-esteem. Because only hurt people hurt people. And my biggest regret was I had someone, but I was too stuck up and willing to say, I need help. I was too willing to say, here's what I'm struggling with. Challenge me more on it. And most men who aren't honest about that, they go to the next woman and do the same thing. Or there are some women who are unfaithful and they go to the next man and do the same thing. Which makes people think that all men and women are generally the same thing. And it's not. The moral of this video is, what is it going to take for people to be honest and have integrity? And this is my question to you. And this is solely my question to you. My question to you is, when will you realize that you're hurting the people around you? When will you realize it? When will you understand it? It took me years to realize that I was so hurt that I was pushing away everyone from me. Because I allowed my past to damage me. This will be my first year second year doing online ministry. And the challenge is that people make It seems that the walk with Jesus is easy, but it's not, especially when you're called to the rib of ministry. I realize that when you are angry, you burn bridges with other people. And here's my encouragement to you: anybody who's dealing with depression, you are not a failure. You are not what people say you are. You have been through so much this year. And there were times when you wanted to quit. There were times when you wanted to slice your wrist. There were times in your life when you wanted to take a whole bunch of pills because you didn't want to see another day. You're battling with something that you haven't given God the authority over. You're the issue. And the issue is you're hitting yourself on a wall when God is trying to heal you. Stop hitting your big head on that wall. Stop being ignorant. You're hurting. And you're hurting people around you because you're scared. You're losing people who love you because you're scared. And people who use your past to get you mean you no good. And however, you're scared. You're scared of being a man. You're scared of being a woman. You're scared of being honest with the fact that I am hurting. And I just want to be loved. You're scared of being honest with yourself because you don't want to hurt the next. You don't want to hurt the next person who wants to love you. My question to you is, how long will you sit in it?